I talk too fast. And somebody was nice enough to super chat me. Thank you so much before this even started. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas and I can talk really, really fast. I take that as a compliment. We're coming to you live from Las Vegas. It's a room and there's not much else to talk about. And we can answer some questions. Everybody want to check in? You guys can go ahead and do that. I got the screen behind me so I can see you, but I can see the chat, which is really good. And it's really distracting when you see yourself because there's a big, huge delay. So let's do a sound check, make sure you guys can hear me, and we'll go from there. If you guys don't know, I'm a Vegas blogger. I sit in my yard and do videos because everybody's stuck at home right now. Everybody loves me some Wonder Hussy. I gotta look that up. I mean, usually, if you called somebody a Wonder Hussy, they'd be like, "How dare you?" Or they would slap your face. Do women slap faces? They should. Women should be able to slap guys' faces if you call them a Wonder Hussy, don't you think? Everybody hears me. What's up, guys? How you doing? Wonder Hussy is annoying, Brett says. All good. Javier says. NA says, thank you for your time. It's 4:30 in the morning where he is. What time is it where you are? Anyways, yeah, guys, so I did this live stream. It says live, Vegas Storytime, History Q&A. And then I really was like, you know what I should do? I should go and do like research, but I didn't research. So you can ask me about a hotel property and I can tell you something about it and I can tell you some stuff, but I can't say a lot of stuff. And the problem is that some of the stuff I want to talk about, YouTube's content restrictions don't like it. So first of all, let's talk about something that nobody talks about. YouTube content restrictions. So people all the time ask me, they say, why do you say you can't say CV? Everybody else I know says it. And yes, they probably do say it. And that's totally fine too. They can say it all they want. There are repercussions for channels that want to grow. And I'm doing a little cottage industry out of this and getting my feet and getting good at presenting and all that stuff. So I like to make sure that YouTube promotes me. So it's not about the money. I mean, nowadays nobody's seeing money off of ads because the ad revenue's dried up because we're heading into a global recession apparently. But it's about the promotion. See, if YouTube takes away your monetization, it means they're also not promoting you on the platform. And if they're not promoting you on the platform, whoa, Johnny Yuma, thank you so much. I am your father, Luke. Thank you, Johnny Yuma. You guys super chat. If you guys want to super chat me, I'll go ahead and make you guys a moderator. And I'll keep you a moderator so you guys don't have to super chat me every time. Because quite frankly, I can't get rid of my moderators and know who's done this or that. Cindy's here, my friend Cindy, who helped me greatly with my GoFundMe. She's a super nice lady from Washington State, keeping safe. And thank you, Cindy, for coming. Anyways, yeah, the ad budgets are gone. So if I want to be promoted by YouTube, I can't say certain words. Secondly, some of those channels might not care. Some of those channels might say, I don't want to grow, I just want to talk about something, or they might be so big that they're not really affected like smaller channels, because I'm a smaller channel on YouTube. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I want to keep it so, I don't know, I just want to find clever ways to solve problems. I don't know how many people will be in the chat, Sherry. I appreciate you calling out the number. That's pretty cool that we got some people in the chat. I really wish my camera would lock on focus because I feel like it's kind of in and out on focus. So maybe if I move my camera a little closer and jiggle it just a little bit, it'll lock on my focus. Yes, Caroline's flowers were behind me. They're still behind me. There it is. And NA says that organic growth is the best growth. Yes, time was. You could definitely buy your way into a giant YouTube following. A lot of people did that in the past. Callie asks, are the liquor stores still open up there? They are here for curbside delivery, so regardless of how much you might hear, they're not shut down. Let's see, you're awesome. Love watching your videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Spirit California's in the house. Richard Gonzalez is here. Hi, everyone. Hello, Steven. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is staying safe. I'm safe so far, but I'm wearing a face mask when I go to the store now. Yeah, I'm become that guy. Yeah, you know, women are making face masks out of bras, brassieres. That's pretty awesome. And they're pretty smart if they're able to do it. And I might ask my wife to make me one because you can't tell that that's what they're wearing. It's pretty smart, though, because it covers your whole face and it's reusable. Thanks, Cindy. Best Las Vegas gifts. Hey, guys, if you guys want cool gift packages, check out Cindy. She was super nice, and she sent me a gift box, and she was really awesome to do that. Richard is here watching my channel now. Appreciate it. So NA says, you told me before the stream you didn't expect more than 100. You got 162. I was being modest. I didn't know how many I get. It's just me talking on a camera. We'll see if I can hold the audience. So you have to be able to hold your audience, and that's another thing too. YouTube likes videos where people watch for a long time, which is why if you watch some of the big bloggers, so we're doing story time, right? So guys, here's the deal. We're doing story time. The chat comes really fast as more people come in, so that's good. But if you guys do a chat and I can't see it, I guess that's what stickers and super chats are for. I'm not saying you have to pay me, but if you have a question and I don't get to it, just send me an email. It's in most of my video descriptions. I don't think it's in this one. I suck. Anyways, what was I talking about? I was talking about, holding the audience. You're supposed to have longer length YouTube videos where people can watch for longer, because it's just like, oh, my light went out. Hold on. Lighting incident. Okay. It's just like, oh my goodness. I like that light. I want it to be lit. It's lit, yo. Anyways, it's just like anything. If you watch a TV show and you flip out of the TV show right away, they've assumed that you don't like the show. So you have to be able to hold an audience. I don't know how to hold an audience. I just try to say, watch to the end of the video. Please, I beg of you. All right, so Vegas story time, because now we have 182 people watching. You tell me a resort that you want to talk about. Still water in the Bellagio fountains. There is still water. So there is still water in the Bellagio. There's no water at the Caesars Palace. There's no water at the Mirage. What's funny about that, Caesars Palace has the famous fountains. So first Vegas story. How did Evel Knievel get to jump over the Caesars Palace fountains? These are all just things that I heard, and if it's wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. I've never been to the mansion, NA. I was supposed to go, but I never went. The guy that was supposed to take me flaked on me, and it sucked so many times. Anyways, so Evel Knievel. Most people know Evel Knievel as being the famous daredevil that jumped over the fountains. What people don't know is how he actually managed to jump over the fountains. So the way he jumped over the fountains was simple. He basically came into town completely flat broke. He didn't have any money to his name. He was living in a dingy little weekly type of hotel room, and he knew that there was fountains at Caesar's Palace. The problem was he didn't know how to get to the owner of Caesar's Palace. The owner at the time was Jay Sarno. Jay Sarno built Caesar's Palace, then went on to build the Circus. Nothing is open right now. Crystal, nothing. And so when he built the Caesar's Palace, he built the world famous fountains out front. And here comes Evel Knievel, wants to jump over the fountains. He then tried to get Jay Sarno's attention. Couldn't do it. So what he did was pretty simple and pretty ingenious. What he did was he sat in his hotel room and made long-distance phone calls and short-distance phone calls, called all the local news media, the Review-Journal, the Las Vegas Sun, any little independent newspaper that was publishing. And he said, hey, I'm calling from blank. He called the newspaper. No, he called as the newspaper. I'm sorry. He called Caesar's Palace, and he'd say, I'm looking for Jay Sarno. I'm so-and-so from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, or I'm from the LA Times, or I'm from the New York Post, or I'm from the Washington Post. I want to know about this guy, Evel Knievel, that's going to be jumping over the fountains. I heard all about it. When is that going to happen? And, of course, the owner of Caesar's Palace, he had no idea what was going on. He said, there's nobody going to jump over my fountains. What are you talking about? That's my fountains. I never heard about this. Kept doing this for a week or two. Oh, James Hudson, 20 Canadian bucks. That's a lot right now because Canada is seeing the economic impact. Thank you so much. Everybody say thank you to James Hansen for being so awesome and generous. That's very nice of you, James. I mean it. You have no idea. Pretty soon the American dollar is going to be the same as the Canadian dollar. What can I tell you? Anyways, which is worthless. No money's going to have any value pretty soon. So he did this for a few weeks, and then he figured out where Jay Sarno was going to be. And when he found out where Jay Sarno was going to be, he bumped into him, wearing his full head-to-toe sequin jumpsuit, Evel Knievel style. Kind of looked like Elvis, but Daredevil style. And when he bumped into this guy, who was so annoyed by hearing all these phone calls where he thought were coming from different media outlets and stuff like that, he immediately looks at Evel Knievel and he goes, Evel Knievel goes, Mr. Sarno, right? And he goes, are you Evel Knievel? He goes, yes, I am. And he goes, Evel Knievel, tell me, when in damnation are you going to jump over my fountains? And the gig was on. And that was Evel Knievel coming in with no money, and it was in the newspaper. I think it might have been on television, and that was a big deal at Caesar's Palace. Another thing that people don't know about Caesar's Palace is that they also hosted the very first modern-day outdoor National Hockey League game. Now, if you're not a sports fan, that's fine. You know, don't dislike the video. Like the video if you like the stories we're telling here. And I have a tendency to go long on my long live streams. I'll see what I can do for even 10 minutes on this one. But the first ever game was held, I believe it was somewhere around 1990 or 91. It was when Wayne Gretzky had first moved to the Los Angeles Kings from the Edmonton Oilers. Now, if you don't know hockey, you undoubtedly know Wayne Gretzky. His move down to Los Angeles was epic for hockey. It was epic for sports in general. I remember Canadians crying and burning his jerseys. They were so upset up in Canada. Well, it was a marquee outdoor game. I believe it was against the New York Rangers, and they did it in September as a preseason game where the modern day Absinthe circus tent sits. So as you're coming over from the Bellagio, you go down the big escalators and you'll see it right there. Turns out, though, that was a terrible idea. It was a hot day in September. Now, I've been here in September as late as the 28th of the month. That was the first time I came here and did some work, and it was 104 degrees that day. So here they are playing an outdoor night game. It was a night game, that's good. But it was still like 85, 90 degrees, I believe. And it was really, really bad. Another story about Wayne Gretzky, just a little off-the-cuff story, not related to Caesar's Palace, is when people talk about class athletes. Now, there's a story about Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and a couple of other big athletes back in the day when they were in their prime playing at a celebrity game, poker tournament. They were sitting at a table playing for long marathon sessions. I didn't know this until I watched Rounders. Still don't know how to play poker. I guess I shouldn't have a YouTube channel. Oh, Sean, thank you. Sean's already on my Patreon, so him chipping in $5 more is super nice. Everybody say thank you to Sean. Everybody give Sean a thumbs up. Hit him an emoji, and that's good, and I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean. That's really cool of you. I know you're already on my Patreon, and that's nice of you, so you're chipping in, and that's really cool. Another thing is, so Michael Jordan is like the antithesis of Wayne Gretzky when it comes to like classiness. I mean, okay, you could argue Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, GOAT, greatest of all time. But when it turns in class, Wayne Gretzky was small town boy, raised out of, Ontario, Canada, and I think it was Kitchener, Mississauga. Somebody can tell me in the comments. Canadians, I know you're watching. I know you know where Gretzky was born. And well, Kitchener is the tragically hip. Anyways, Michael Jordan at the end of the game gave the waitress a $5 tip. And Wayne Gretzky stops the waitress, stops Michael, and takes the $5 chip off the tray. And he goes, "No, Michael, that's not how we do it. That's not who we are." And he took like a $100 chip off of Michael Jordan's pile and put it on her tray. So that's a fun little story, kind of looping back to Wayne Gretzky. He's a classy guy. The day that I'm not going to talk about sports. This ain't a sports podcast. Caesar's Palace, going down the road to Brampton. Boom, Jeff Meyer hit Brampton. Everybody say thank you, Jeff Meyer, for Mauer, for saying Brampton. Anyways, down the road, a little further up the road, you guys want to go to Bellagio or you guys want to go to Mirage? Which one you guys want to go to, Bellagio or the Mirage? You tell me. By the way, NA, if you're listening, I now have 231. I don't know. I'm sure Say Hi to Matthew had more at his peak, and I'm not competing with him because, like you said, we're different. Meyer Lansky. I don't know. I know the name, but I have to research it. Nobody has said which way we want to go, so we're going to go to, say, NA says Bellagio. So we're going to go to the Bellagio. So down the road at the Bellagio. Did you know that the Bellagio's fountains are so big that the original property, it's not the Desert Inn, the dunes that it replaced would fit right inside of the Bellagio fountains. So the Bellagio fountains are out front. The original hotel tower and casino floor would fit inside of the Bellagio fountain footprint. It's huge. Another thing about the Bellagio, it was originally made to be called the Beau Rivage. The Beau Rivage is an existing casino that's in another part of the country right now. Now, Steve Wynn has this fascination with water. Makes a lot of sense. When he built the Mirage, he built the volcanoes with the water outside. We'll get to the Mirage in just a second. When he built the Bellagio, he wanted to have a moat. He wanted the Bellagio to be sitting in the middle of an island. He also bought the entire land lease on the whole property. So the water lease as well with the land. Now, since the Dunes Hotel had a golf course, he bought this 99-year-long water lease. So when people come into town, some of them get a little salty. And they say, "That's not right, the water. You're using too much water. Don't you know we're in the desert?" Well, a couple of things. Number one, the water show doesn't go off when it's windy. You might have come here when it was windy or it was inclement weather and you're disappointed the water show wasn't running. That's why. The second thing is that water is recycled water. So the water that's used in the Bellagio, that's why they don't let it run when it's windy. That all gets reused and cleaned. The third thing is they use less water on the Bellagio fountains than they ever did on the golf course. Yeah, think about it. The golf course, the water goes into the ground, it gets turned through photosynthesis into new grass. So they're actually saving water by having the Bellagio actually exist. Now, we got to go back to the Caesar's Palace. We go plop right in front of the Mirage. The Mirage, obviously, Steve wins big, huge Vegas kind of venture, right? Before the Mirage existed, there was Golden Nugget. Before that, Steven was involved in the Frontier, which was then the new Frontier, and now it's sold, and it's nothing. It's nothing is there. But when the Mirage, when the Mirage was built, people didn't even know what the name of it was. And he used junk bonds from Wall Street, which nobody had ever done before. So when they built the Mirage, it was called Golden Nugget South, collectively, that's the same fancy. Colloquially is a $5 word, $1 million word to see collectively. In Las Vegas, it was known as Golden Nugget South or Golden Nugget Strip. Anyways, he envisioned a place where you could go get your entertainment, your spa treatment, your gambling, your five-star dining, all in one place. And again, with the water theme, he built the giant volcano out front. Now, the giant volcano out front. Something else that doesn't exist at the Mirage anymore, we'll get to that in a second, are the white endangered albino tigers. And I surely hope they bring back some kind of an exotic cat show to Vegas. That stupid tiger show on Netflix is a poor representation of anybody that should be doing cats in Vegas. There's some good entertainers that are doing that stuff here. Maybe someday I can tell you about that. I don't know. Anyways, when they built that up, the Mirage volcano smells like pina colada. And that's because if it didn't, you would smell gas. And the volcano obviously is huge and erupts on a regular basis. A few years ago, they closed it down and they spent multi-millions of dollars on renovating the entire volcano itself. And what they did was they got the drummer from the Grateful Dead. I think it's Mickey something, and I'm not a Deadhead, so Deadheads chime in and let everybody know what that guy was named. So he's still alive, I believe. It's not Jerry Garcia who they named the ice cream after, or did they name the singer after the ice cream? I'm very confused. I'm just kidding. No, he's a percussionist, and so he has a house in Hawaii. So what he did was he went all over the world and he recorded on high-end recording gear what volcanoes sounded like right from the source. You know, they paid him to do this big re-engineering, and they went back to his studio, I believe it's in Hawaii, and he engineered all the sounds for the current Mirage volcano show, and it's pretty amazing. Now, the other thing about the Mirage was when you would used to go in there, number one, it has a giant aquarium. Number two, it used to have the tigers from Siegfried and Roy's show right by the check-in desk. It was a way to get you into the hotel to get you to look at cool stuff. Now, when you go in there, there's no more aquariums. I think the aquariums were replaced with an ad for the Beatles' Love. And it's really cool to go in there because the ad is on a nice, giant, three-dimensional TV that you don't need glasses for. And that's fine. That's all well and good. But the tigers are gone. And when people asked Steve Wynn, what do you think about the Mirage and MGM Resorts International taking out the Tigers? He said, well, it makes sense. It was just a marketing tool to sell the show, and the show's not on anymore. So it makes sense, right? Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm privy to information on the Tigers that I can't even mention to you guys, but it would be nice to be able to one day, but I'm under a non-disclosure agreement with somebody. But I learned the history of that, and it just blew my mind. What you don't know and what the public puts out there and what the perception is, unbelievable. Hey, can I get some likes for my stories on Las Vegas? I have 244 watching and 66 likes. Now, a lot of you guys are watching. Some likes. You can make it 244 likes. All you got to do is hit the like button. It doesn't cost much to hit the like button. And when I get to, like, I don't know, 100 likes, maybe I'll tell another story about another property. We can go right across the street to the Venetian and the Mirage. We can go up north. We can go to the Treasure Island. We can talk about Cirque. I don't know what to talk about, but I got to get to 100 likes. I dare you not to like the video. Can I get to 100 likes? Look, I got 96 likes. Can I get 97 likes? 97 likes. Can I get 98? Do I hear 98 likes? 98 likes, 98 likes. Looks like I'm stalled. Oh, 102. Action. Okay. So we have the Mirage. We have the Treasure Island right next door. So obviously the Treasure Island used to have the pirate show, and the pirate show's gone. And one of the questions people ask is, why is the pirate show gone? By the way, whomever it was, and I can't recall, that said that I talk quickly sometimes when it suits me well, like when I'm trying to get myself out of trouble. Oh no, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. It was that guy over there. That guy over there. Bill did it. So the Treasure Island obviously was Cirque du Soleil's first big foray into Las Vegas. I said in a video that I think that Cirque will go bankrupt. And the thing about Cirque was that, you know, speaking of the Mirage, just on the other side, Wynn bought the property right next to it, built the Treasure Island. But before that, they had a show. It was a horse themed show that, for the life of me, I can never remember the name of, Caballero or something like that. And it was a tent behind the Mirage. So you have a tent behind the Mirage with a Cirque show. Turns out that was a good gamble because that entire show was just sold out, book solid. So Steve Wynn goes to Guy Libertaire. You have to say it like you're French. Um, you go up to him and he says, "Hey, I want to put a residency show in Las Vegas." Now they have never done this before at this point. And he says, "Well, I don't know. We never had a residency show. We just do traveling shows or temporary shows in Broadway." And Wynn convinced him to take the gamble. They spent the money, they built the theater. To this day, the show is Mystere. You either love Mystere or you hate Mystere. One way or the other, you're going to like it. And, Treasure Island is an interesting place. You have the pirate show up front. The pirate show doesn't run anymore. I remember towards the end, the pirate show is trying to retool itself. They're trying to do less acrobatics, more of a laser light show. I originally saw the Treasure Island back in 1996 or 97, I think it was, 95, right when it had first opened up. And it was pretty amazing to see all that. The Treasure Island used to have a skull and crossbones theme. It was very much Davy Jones themed before there was any kind of Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Caribbean or Caribbean? They actually replaced the pirate show with a CVS pharmacy. Woo! Richard Gonzalez, $5. He asked a question. Near San Jose, California. Coffee's on me. Interested in real estate. Be there hopefully in July. Keep it up. Okay, so Richard, if you have a follow-up question, I hope I can see it. But if you want to email me, you can do that. Not this video, but the one from earlier today. My email's in there. Ask the question. I'll give an answer. I don't know what you want to know about real estate. It's going to get chilly out there real estate-wise, guys. I did a video on that just the other day. So they replaced the Treasure Island pirate show with a CVS pharmacy and a retail complex with a Marvel thing, and you can go see Marvel. And I could care less about the Marvel stuff, and don't hate me for that. When I was a kid, comic books were a big, big part of my life. But anyways, what's next? You got the Fashion Show Mall. Fashion Show Mall is not new. It's been around forever and a half. The Fashion Show Mall was opened in the 80s, and they asked about Mandalay Bay. There was a big incident that happened there, October. And I'm not going to go into that incident, so we're not going to talk about that on the channel. We can talk about that on the Patreon, but the last time I talked about that on my channel, I got a warning letter from YouTube about talking about disturbing content. How do you like them apples, sir? They told me not to do it again, or else I'd have a channel strike, and I can't live stream. We'll talk about Mandalay Bay in a minute. So the Fashion Show Mall is one of the biggest shopping centers in the western part of the United States. It's very big, and there's a lot of high-end retail in there. And when the Fashion Show Mall opened in the 80s, it was just a shell of its former self. And it's actually a really nice retail shopping complex. It's named after a city in Myanmar. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and not talk about the fashion show. There's not much to talk about there. Let's go up to, we can go up to the Frontier. No, there's not a Frontier anymore. We talk about the Stardust. You want to talk about the Mandalay Bay. So Mandalay Bay obviously is on the south end of the strip. It's just very, very vacant. Oh, John Kim, $5. Say thank you to John Kim. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. It's really funny because when my chat glows, it says show your support. So I guess it wants me to pay myself. But thank you guys for chipping in. That's very cool. Mandalay Bay. What can there be to say about the Mandalay Bay? At one point, the Mandalay Bay had some of the very, very nicest restaurants in the entire city. It also had a weird place themed after Moscow. I can't remember what it was called. It's called Red Square. And it was actually the place. This is full of gin. I'm getting drunk on... No, it's just water. It's the place my wife first ever took me to a buffet at the in Las Vegas. And it's called the Bayside Buffet. Very, very expensive buffet, actually. And the Bayside Buffet is cool because it looks right over the beach at Mandalay Bay. Now, the beach at Mandalay Bay served two purposes. At one point, it actually served to trick, by the way, Dasani gin. It's Aquafina, but my wife likes Dasani. Anyways, at one point, the beach served as a con job for the Tahiti Village timeshare. Now, you guys might know I did timeshare for a long time. I was a marketer, and I like timeshare resorts to stay in. I go and stay in them in the Philippines when I go to the Philippines with my wife because they're nice to stay in, but I don't own timeshare myself. Anyhow, Alan Thicke, rest in peace, the TV dad from Growing Pains, which you guys not probably remember that, a lot of you youngsters out there. Alan Thicke worked with Tahiti Village, stood in the beach at Mandalay Bay, and said, "Tahiti Village, live the dream." They made it look like that was what they were building or it had built at Tahiti Village. They were very aggressive. Whoa, Walter. Love Vegas, its history, and enjoy your videos. Thank you. Whoa, Hugh Herbert. Thank you to Walter. Thank you to Hubert Herbert. Yes, Herbert points out about the size. We'll talk about that in just half a jiff. So, anyways, the beach also has a wave pool and sand in it, and they have a concert series. So, if you're ever in Vegas, you come in here in the summertime, check out the concert series at Mandalay Bay. The Beach Boys play there. Different acts from the 80s and the 90s play there. It's pretty freaking cool. Billy Idol plays there, and my wife liked to say the first time, she's like, "Oh, I saw Billy Idol at the beach at Mandalay Bay. He was like this big." And I said, "Boy, you had bad seats?" And she said, "No, he's just really short." That was one of the first jokes she ever told me. And I thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, the Mandalay Bay, as Herbert said, is actually bigger than people take it for. You can walk across that whole casino floor and loop around and around and around and get quite lost. The House of Blues is there. You have the buffet, obviously. You have some really nice restaurants. I think Fleur de Lis might still be there. The Mandalay Bay has some amazing wine. I think the Mandalay Bay is the one with the wine elevator, and you can look that up on YouTube at some point, where they actually have the girls go up and down on zip lines in this giant elevator that's like 4 stories tall to get your bottles of wine. And that wine is perfectly climate controlled as well, so it doesn't get much better than that. The Mandalay Bay also has the Shark Reef Aquarium. And if you can come back to Vegas, if they ever allow us to walk the streets again, I feel like I'm in a YouTube video where the streets know no name, but it's going to be like where the streets know no people. But you can walk to the front, and the front of the Mandalay Bay is wasted space in terms of what shareholders and stockholders would like to see, but it's so beautiful. There's waterfalls. There's not a lot of traffic in that area. The cars are not whizzing by you. You're set back, and it's just a chill place with beautiful landscaping, and I hope you all see that before it gets torn apart and torn asunder, because that's the corner where you would walk the 5 minutes to get to the Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders are playing, unless the Allegiant goes bankrupt, in which case it's just going to be called the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, which would be nice. I would rather have seen the NA. I'm going to do my story in a different video at some point. It's something that's emotional to make, but I'm going to do a video on that, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. So yeah, it's I wish they would have called the Allegiant Field at the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, because they do that in some cases, but Allegiant put their names on the buildings, and Allegiant's halted construction on a hotel they're building in Florida, so they're in bad financial troubles like everybody else right now. It is close to the airport, Johnny Yuba says, and Adam said they'll put retail there, and I think that's true. Junior wants me to talk about things that I can only talk about on my Patreon. Hey, Junior, if you want to head over, I already talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago. I did a Patreon exclusive video, and since you are just basically shouting out random stuff, I'm going to shout out an ad for the Patreon. It's Not Leaving Las Vegas. Patreon.com/Not Leaving Las Vegas. All right, so Tropicana right across the street. Hey, did you hear that the Tropicana was sold? Hey, did you know it's a bunch of bull crap? It really, really is. It doesn't matter that it was sold, because it was bought by the people that own the Tropicana. Sounds bizarre, right? But it's not really all that bizarre. So anyways, the Tropicana was built a long time ago. Oh, Brett Boyle. I love downtown Vegas and Fremont Street. Do you have any cool stories about any downtown casinos? All right, Brett. So we're going to talk about what Brett wants, because Brett is the guy that asked a question and gave a super chat. And that's what we do here. And then we'll get back to the Tropicana. So cool downtown stories. Well, one of the reasons why the Downtown Grand opened up the way it did was because Oscar Goodman was a big proponent of not tearing down buildings. And Steve Sisolak seems to want to tear things down. He was talking about it apparently on Twitter tweets. Now, Sisolak is the kind of guy that deletes his tweets, and I can't see him. Right, and if I knew how to archive them, that would be helpful. But Goodman was the opposite. So there's a lot of buildings in downtown that he tried hard to save the legacy of, like the old City Hall that's now Zappos. And we have the Downtown Grand, which I believe at a point was the Lady Luck, and now it's the Downtown Grand. And a lot of stuff downtown that needs to be saved and needs to be relished. I mean, downtown's Fremont Street experience is all well and good and great, but we have to remember our legacy, so that's why we did that. Now, the Plaza Hotel, if you ever go down to the Plaza, thank you, Adam's Exploits, that's nice of you. If you ever go down to the Plaza downtown, The rooms you're staying in are basically decked out with what would have been the Fontainebleau, which would have been the Drew, but the Drew is probably never going to be built as the Drew. It'll be built as something, but Sisolak mentioned tearing it down, which makes me pretty mad because you don't tear down billions of dollars of infrastructure like that. Just my opinion. Anyways, the Plaza has all the Fontainebleau stuff in there. The Plaza is an interesting hotel. Aggressive timeshare people in there. Do not do the timeshare presentation. But the Main Street station right next to the Plaza, because the Main Street station is there, the train line runs right behind it. The train line used to be an Amtrak train, doesn't come into Vegas anymore. The Amtrak stopped running 20, 30 years ago. But that train right there is where Main Street Station and the Plaza and then the Greyhound bus station is. Now, if you go to the Plaza at night, don't go towards the Greyhound station. It's pretty freaking sketchy. I've been to sketchy bus stations before. I used to have to take the bus between San Diego and Las Vegas. When you go through LA, it's not very nice. Downtown is much worse in Vegas, I think. It's just my opinion. But the Main Street station next door is kind of train themed station casinos. They have a part of the Berlin Wall in the men's room, which is either classless or very Vegasy, whichever way you want to describe it. So you can be in there and you're using the urinal, and then hey, look, there's some graffiti. Now I think as generations go by, most people will like not be understanding what they're really looking at. But one of the biggest pieces of world history is in the Main Street Station downtown. We also have the Golden Nugget. The Golden Nugget, of course, one of the key things in Vegas. If you ever play Street Fighter 2 from like 1992, one of the fighting scenes is against a guy called Balrog. Balrog, and he's obviously a Mike Tyson clone, and they look like they're fighting in downtown Fremont Street. So Street Fighter 2, casino level, looks just like downtown Las Vegas, and even says Golden something on the bottom of it. And that's why we call them the Vegas Golden Knights, by the way. Wall Street Lord, you can't fool me. I know who you are. Hey, here's a question from somebody. Isn't Sheldon Adelson the classiest CEO in Vegas and fully supporting all of his employees during the shutdown with no strings attached? So, out of all the casinos that have the money to do that, it makes total sense that Adelson would do that. He's been known to be a pretty big philanthropist in his days, and you guys might have polarizing opinions on Sheldon Adelson, but I do say he's kept himself. Brett, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Brett. I do got to say, Sheldon's employees, I've never heard anything negative out of them, and they do seem like a classy operation. There is that one time I thought it was 86th out of the Venetian and the Palazzo and all worldwide properties, but that never came to pass, which was very, very good. And yeah, I mean, Adelson seems like a very classy guy. I hope he's healthy. If you guys don't know, he was battling a type of cancer, which is very, very tragic and very, very terrible. Because in terms of old school Vegas guys, he's one of the very last ones left. But he's managed to steer his company in such a way that's obviously genius in combining his properties overseas in Asia and Las Vegas. They're in the best financial situation to just see this entire thing out. And I think they have $11.5 billion in profits that they've made after their expenses and taxes are paid over the last 5 years. I did do that in a video. Sean Holmes says Sheldon is a Zionist pig, but we're not going to put that in the live stream. And I was probably just demonetized for saying that. I don't want any anti-Semitism in this channel. I don't want any sexism. I don't want any hate speech. I don't want any of that stuff. If you want to do that, please go somewhere else. There's lots of platforms where you can do that. Lots of websites that rhyme with the word CHAN in them. And they're not Chinese websites, if you know what I mean. Okay? So yeah, I like Adelson. I also, to a certain extent, I can appreciate every big company in Las Vegas, even though I say a lot of rank stuff against them. Stephen, how are you going to first celebrate with your wife and friends when the Vegas lights come back on? I'm going to wake up reinvigorated that the lights in Vegas coming back on is going to be like a wake-up call. I can't snap my fingers. Anyways, I'm going to be happy that the people are going back to work. And I don't know that I'll be able to celebrate because my money is going to be really low, but I'm going to be very, very happy that it's coming to pass. And I'm just going to be very grateful and run around and hug my wife, and maybe her and I will go out to a buffet and eat some crab's legs because that's what she really likes. All right, so what do we got here? What were we talking about? Jeremy asked if the conventions are ever be coming back. Jeremy, the conventions may be back, but I imagine they're going to need to probably kiss up. Or the casinos will kiss up to them, but the casinos are also going to. The conventions are in a place of power right now because there's so much infrastructure in Las Vegas and so much empty space and so many canceled conventions. They might not pay the supreme command prices that the casinos and the convention authority want anymore. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. William, my friend, my kuya in the Philippines says it was a high in behind of PRT and MGM. Okay, no problem. Let's see. We're gonna tell stories. We're talking about Las Vegas, and then one of my people asked me a question there, and then what do we want to talk about right now? We can talk about the Aladdin. The Aladdin doesn't exist anymore. We can talk about the Cosmopolitan, if you guys want to talk about the Cosmopolitan, because that does exist. You guys want to hear about the Planet Hollywood Aladdin, or you want to talk about the Cosmopolitan? You let me know. You send me a clicker, Antonio. I'll click it. I can not snap my fingers. Tropicana, yeah, Cindy. So, Cindy, why are you not a moderator, Miss Cindy? Cindy is gonna be a moderator. So we'll talk about this Tropicana. So yeah, going back to the Tropicana, I'm going to misquote the history terribly on the Tropicana, so don't hold that against me. But the Tropicana was started on the money of somebody who broke away from one of the other projects, and I can't for the life of me remember which one. But the Tropicana was themed after different parts of the world. So you had like Cuba, the Copacabana, and all these kinds of places. And the rooms were supposed to be specifically themed after different vacation hotspots where all the elites would have gone in the 1960s, I think it was. And in the middle of construction, they were competing with other hotels. They're competing with like the Stardust, they're competing with different projects. And the price of materials and the price of labor shot up. And the guy that went into it had to actually sell his interest, and it got bought out by a bigger investor. Eventually, the project was completed for a lot more money, but right from the get go, almost almost right from the get go, he actually had some major problems getting the whole thing financed. So, flash forward. The Tropicana has been sitting down there for a long time. It's a historical place. It has the world's biggest Tiffany glass artwork piece inside of it, and it's a beautiful property. It's a beautiful resort. I wish that it was in better hands right now. Penn National Gaming seems to be kind of. I'm not giving you stock advice. That's not where I come from, but they seem to be a little bit teetering on the brink of destruction right now. Oh, thank you, John Kim. $5. Say thank you to John. The deal is, though, when you read the headlines, it says Tropicana Las Vegas sold, 30,000 employees laid off. Okay, now, first of all, Penn Gaming also owns the M Resort. Okay, they own the M Resort. They sold their company to a company that they formed. They sold their property to a company that they formed. I think it's called Leisure and Gaming. And Leisure and Gaming was an offshoot of Penn Gaming. So what they did was they said, we have this property. We're going to sell it to this other property, get free rent, lay a bunch of people off, take a bunch of cuts. But then when we go back to Wall Street and ask for some money, they're going to ask what our liabilities are. And we're going to say, well, we don't have any rent for 5 months. We had to lay off some employees. And all of our people took a pay cut. So can we have some money, please? And they're hoping that by doing that, they don't have the liability of the land and the upkeep and everything, but they still own it, you see, because this company over here owns it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's a complicated thing, but when you read the headlines, people go, oh, that's terrible. Vilify the big companies, blah, 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 blah. It's not always that way. You know, you got to get to the last paragraph, the last 3 lines of the article until you see that they all took pay cuts on their board of directors and their CEO. So that's what that is. Let's see here. Yes, it's very creepy. I'm trying to see what we should talk about next. We can go across the street and talk about the MGM Grand if you guys want to. You guys want to hear about the MGM Grand? Give me a thumbs up. I have 267 people watching, but only 146 likes. Maybe if this gets up to 166 likes, I'll tell another story. We can talk about the MGM Grand just across the street from the Tropicana. But if we never get there, I'll just end the live stream and walk away and cry. And then I really will fill this one up in gin, with gin, not Jim. 155, we're getting close right there. Cigarette Juice Man. It's funny as these live streams get bigger. I need 166 likes, and then I'll talk about the MGM Grand. It's got a lot of history, the MGM Grand. Look at that, Brian. Thank you. Monte Carlo. Can you talk about it? Monte Carlo Switch. Can I talk about it? Yes, we can. So we'll talk about the Monte Carlo right now because Brian was really cool to do that. That was very nice. Let me just type a message to somebody that's really important right now, by the way. So the Monte Carlo is now obviously the Park MGM, and part of it's called the Nomad. And the Nomad is simply, one second here. This is the worst live stream ever because I'm doing this typing. This is called live streaming typing on WhatsApp Messenger. That's a bad thing. So the Monte Carlo is now called the Park MGM, and also part of it's the Nomad. Now the park made sense after they unveiled that they were building a park, and it goes all the way back to the T-Mobile Arena. But the MGM for the longest time was just a place where people would go and hang out and gamble. It was a gambler's hotel with moderately nice rooms, right? And it didn't have a theme. It was one of the only ones that wasn't really themed. Although I'm sure there is there really a place called Monte Carlo? I think there is. Monte Cristo. I'm thinking of Monte something. Monte Hall, the Monte Hall Resort, where you got to pick a door. You have three doors. If you pick one of these doors, you win. If you don't pick, that's let's make a deal. It's Monte Hall. You guys are too young to know about Monte Hall, but give me a thumbs up if you're old enough to know about Monte Hall. So the Monte Carlo was not themed. I remember one day the Monte Carlo started on fire. I was working in timeshare right across the street. Across the street was not a big, huge plaza like it is now. It was. There was a Fat Burger. There was a McDonald's or MacDonald's, depending on if you're talking about Eddie Murphy in a movie. But we were working at a timeshare place in the very back that has become a Korean foot massage place. I think that for just that's hilarious, right? And we look up, and the Monte Carlo is burning. Like there's this smoke coming off the top. It became so bad they had like 5, 6, 7 trucks out there. The fire alarms went off. The entire casino was evacuated. Oh, Wall Street Overlord, thank you for $5. If you want to ask a question, that is very cool. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you so much. Say thank you to Wall Street Lord. When I say Overlord, I'm thinking of those video games I've been playing because I'm stuck inside wasting my time. Say thank you, Wall Street Warlord. That's what it is. Say thank you to Wall Street Warlord. Do it now. I command you. I'll do it in the Arnold voice. Do it now. Come on, do it. What's wrong with you? All right. Anyways, yeah. So the whole entire thing started on fire. They evacuated the entire property. It was ridiculous. And pursuant to that, I can tell you a story about the Showcase Mall in a minute. Another fire I saw on the strip, working at that exact same spot. I wonder if I was bad luck or something. Another sticker. That's crazy. Thank you so much, Wall Street Warlord. Look, nobody has any money right now. If you guys do anything cool, I appreciate it like that. We're going to make sure everybody shouts you out. That is really, really cool. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. What was I going to say? So it turns out that they hired an unlicensed welder. MGM Resorts International. They hired a guy to go up on the very, very top and do some welding. Well, the way the buildings are built in Las Vegas is really, really simple. You don't really think that they're putting concrete and forming concrete, right? They literally take, like, imagine this is the side of a building, and I want to stick a three-dimensional object on it. All I do is I take this and I stick it on there, and then I put some stucco on it. This is made out of styrofoam. This is a battery. Don't stick this on a building. But the styrofoam caught fire because he wasn't using a welding blanket, and before you know it, the whole entire resort is closed. What is going on? That's cool. I appreciate the dancing, whatever the heck that thing is. That is very nice. And thank you again. That's cool. I can't even say. Speaking of that, I remember standing in that exact same spot at a completely different time, looking in front of the MGM, and some guy's car started on fire. I see some guy running away. It was this poor guy, and his car starts on fire. Before you know it, the whole car's in flames. And by the way, cars do not 1,200 ought to make you right. Yeah, that's about my rent every month. You're not getting that in a live stream from anybody. That entire car burst into flames, and I guess it was an electrical wiring problem, and it was pretty intense right there. So maybe, oh, geez, with these stickers. That is so nice. I can't even say. I'm going to keep telling stories until 3 in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to take advantage. If I run out of cool things to say, everybody will leave, and that'll be that. That's my showcase story. And speaking of the story over at, I ran out of stories. Oh, what do we talk about next? So we do have that. We do have the MGM. We can talk about the MGM. Ricky Spanish is here. Music Man is here. Hello, everybody. How you guys doing, Johnny? How do you feel about the NBA doing the playoffs in Vegas? If that happens, Reno, when are they going to play the playoffs? After are they going to play the playoffs wearing face masks? That is cool. Yeah, he is too kind, lady. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Wall Street Warlord. Um, the MGM has hosted hockey games every year for like 20 years. They stopped doing the preseason games. It was called the Frozen Fury, something like that. And it was where the Colorado Avalanche wore these stickers. Jeez Louise. Hail everyone in the super chats. I don't do these chats for monies. I just do these chats because I'm trying to connect with people. All right, somebody says the Cosmopolitan. Okay. Arlene Williamson wants to talk about the Cosmopolitans. The Cosmopolitan has a bit of a history. I did the Cosmopolitan video. Hold on, I gotta spit my gum out. Nobody wants to watch me spit gum out. It's not good on the camera. So the Cosmopolitan was built. It's an interesting property because it sits on 6 stories of parking garage. So it's called a micro resort in the sense that they build a parking garage 6 stories down because they didn't have any room to build it. To this date, if you get stuck by a timeshare guy that's working for the Jockey Club, they're going to tell you that you're going to go take a tour of the Cosmopolitan. It's because they're not very good at sales, and they're afraid to tell you that it's not the Cosmo. Before you know it, your body's snatched, and you're thrown into a sales presentation where you're seeing a 60-year-old resort called the Jockey Club. But they built the Cosmo around the Jockey Club, so you have Cosmopolitan, Jockey Club in the middle. And they did that because they couldn't eminent domain people. Timeshare is still a deeded property, and there are people that literally live full-time with the Jockey Club. They're mostly octogenarians, like older folks, but they stay active and they live in that place. The Cosmo was built in the middle of the construction. It's right when 2008 hit. And the main builder, and I can't recall the builder right now, they went through bankruptcy. They couldn't repay a loan payment on their giant loan. So they ended up defaulting on their loan, and Deutsche Bank, the German bankers, were the ones that purchased the property, essentially. They had 2 choices. They could either, well, they had a few choices. They tried to sell the property. I believe it was Hilton and Marriott. They were looking for buyers, but nobody wanted to spend money. Whoa, kid. Oh, my gosh. What you guys probably don't know is that kid is already on my Patreon, and I think he's my top tier. And that's crazy. Oh, geez, Louise. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry, I shouldn't stop talking on camera. Wow. Okay. So, oh, I'm flustered. So the Cosmo owners could sell it, the people that own the note. So you don't even own your house if you're paying the mortgage. Your bank owns your house. You just are paying off a loan that they have. That's why they used to have like bond burning parties back in the day where you'd pay your house off and everybody would have fun. And hey, how are you?
Hello.
I'm on a live stream right now. You want to be on camera?
I want you to drill bit this.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Challenge.
No, I've done it before.
Uh,
I have the special drill bits. They cost $25 each. I
the,
have one.
the trick is you have to sideways it in an angle.
And I have to water it, and I have to tape it, and I have to make sure that that's not a giant crack. Hello, everybody. Hi, Caroline. Hey, Mama. Life off the strip is here. Yes. So hopefully that's not.
You need to do that. For me.
It's not cracked. I'll do it.
No, there's only going to be one. And you know what
I have to drill bit this.
Oh my God, there's a
Flames
video.
fan is here. I wish I had my Flames fan.
There's a YouTube video of people using like a really long nail. Yeah, and there's one guy.
Use a long nail.
If you're Filipino, you can.
I'm Canadian.
No, this is what happened. Okay, so the trick is, like, say, for example.
Hold on, guys.
A small cup, right? And then you fill it up with dirt. In Korea, they fill it up with, rag, right? And they use a nail, and they, like, start hammering it slowly. But surely, I'll show you a video.
So, and then after I glue
Americans would
together,
just use the drill bit.
I'm just going to use a drill bit. I have a diamond bladed drill bit.
No, yeah, but in the Philippines, they use a nail.
Yes.
And a piece of, like a wood to hammer it down.
Okay. Do you want to play Hotel Storytime? We're talking about every hotel in the whole city.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, there's a cat. Okay.
There's a cat. Okay, so I'll have to drill that. Okay, I have to drill this.
So not right now.
Not right
Tomorrow.
now, tomorrow. Okay,
Take
so
your time.
talking about the Cosmopolitan,
Oh, okay.
do you remember when you first saw the chandelier?
Yes.
What'd you think?
That's really beautiful.
I know. You know how many crystals are on there? 1.5 billion. No, it's not true. I just made that number up.
So there's something that's worth a lot of money that's locked up at Cosmopolitan, and no one's broken into that yet.
I don't think so. Do you remember when we went over to the crystal shopping on opening night?
Yeah.
And
Oh, that was a long time ago.
I know, but wasn't it expensive? And they gave us all
That's
free champagne.
Yeah, I know. I did a lot of like
We had a lot of free
We did.
champagne that night.
No, no, that was a lot of like just looking around shopping.
And who,
Window
did,
shopping.
and who did we see drunk at the Encore grand opening?
Me?
No. Who did we see drunk? We saw a celebrity. Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire, and then everybody was like, and he was not even famous anymore. Way past his
He was drunk
time.
though.
Yeah.
And he was out of shape.
But
I'm like,
some
that's
guy
not
was like
Spider-Man.
trying to block him. We were taking a picture of him. It was like, yeah, his
Yeah,
bodyguard.
it was his bodyguard. And I'm like, why does this guy have a bodyguard? He's a nobody now.
Nobody now.
And you remember when I saw Steve Wynn and I thought he was drunk and you were like,
Mhm.
I didn't know anything
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
And you're like,
It was-
no, honey, he's blind.
Yeah.
He has to have that lady. I'm like,
Hey,
oh
that's
my
Steve
God.
Wynn.
This
He's
guy-
drunk. Like, no, he's just really.
Oh,
really
Heather,
drunk.
thank you so much. Heather just gave
Heather.
$5.
Thank. Oh yeah, because you know why? Oh, I'm sorry. Probably because you need to
Buy a drill bit.
replacement.
And some crazy man named Wall Street Warlord gave $5 like 10 times.
I know this drill bit is very expensive, but please.
All right,
please,
I'm going to get back to this.
All right, let me just get out of here and do my.
You can leave the cat. All right, guys.
Cats,
So
you got a bunch of cats here.
I got a bunch of cats. All right, guys. Going
you got
back.
a Siamese and you got
I got a black one.
black one.
Okay, going back to the Cosmopolitan. Thank you guys so much. You guys are really cool. I appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. Going back to the Cosmopolitan, went into bankruptcy. They tried to sell it to somebody else. They tried to possibly do anything to get it offloaded. Then they decided to own it. Hey, Brett, thank you. Steven, we need you healthy. Please stop touching your face. You're doing it a lot. I am. Oh, my God. D, thank you so much. D, that's nutso. Okay, hold on. Story. Okay. I don't know what a pog is. Are you talking about that thing I played with when I was a kid that they banned at my school because you slammed them on the ground? You had a slammer. Does anybody remember Pogs, the game from when you were a kid? And they said you can't use them because you're damaging the floor? I don't know what that is. Anyways, thank you, D. Thank you so much, Brett. Thanks, everybody. I am touching my face. I have to tell you, I took 5 baths in a bucket full of antibacterial lotion today. So the Cosmo was built, and it was basically run by a bank. Oh, thank you, Herbert. I can't... Yeah, I'm going to try your previous chat, Herbert. I'm going to try to find it. I can't find your previous chat, Herbert. I'm so sorry. Oh, my gosh. Wall Street Warlord said, expect a lot of really good celebrations. Okay. Cosmopolitan was built. And when it was built, it was a huge grand opening in the middle of a really bad recession. So people really, really hyped it up. And back in the day when casinos would actually show up, I'm sorry, if you want to say your comment again there, my friend, I would love to see it. I'm sorry I can't find your own chat. I apologize because there's a lot of chats going on. When the Cosmopolitan was built, it was on the news. When the Encore opened, it was on the news. When the Wynn opened, it was on the news. When the Crystals opened, it was on the news. We went in there, like she said, the Crystal is just absolutely gorgeous, hanging from the ceiling. Well, that's a hotel that nearly went into bankruptcy, and for a really, I am touching my fan, scratching. For a long time, they ran a huge loss. Year over year over year, and eventually Blackstone bought it, and they joined the Marriott Rewards program, and now Marriott is out there. There's a very popular Vegas YouTuber, starts with the letter J. He said that the Marriott owns it, which is not true, and I just hate when I hear that kind of stuff because you're giving people the wrong idea. No, the truth is they didn't have their own rewards. So they just went with using Marriott's rewards program, and the rest is kind of history. And right now, the Cosmopolitan was in a very, very good financial situation before all this happened. And they're one of the companies that actually extended their full-time workers' benefits for the people that were furloughed and laid off all the way through to the beginning of June, I think, which is pretty darn cool of them to do. They did ignore me when I did the social media thing, but they welcomed me to go into the hotel, and they told me you can film in the hotel as long as you don't film our gaming area and people gambling. We just want them to have their privacy. So that was very nice of them. They have some really cool stuff at the Cosmopolitan. Wow. What's the average age of my viewers? My average age viewership is 35 to 64 years of age. They are 87% male and they are 13% female. And they're mostly from Canada and the United States, with the third place runner up being the United Kingdom. Deutsche Bank is real corrupt, he says. Well, I don't know about that because I know nothing about no banking, sir. Herbert with another $3. Finally, some beauty and class on this stream. Oh, man, I resemble that remark. Thank you so much. So we have the Cosmo. I have a little Siamese cat behind me getting into all sorts of trouble, and he's going to knock over my Leica camera, which will make me pretty mad. You can see him back there, can't you? Anyways, pretty funny. We need to talk about some more stuff. What else do we talk about, everybody? Do you guys remember the Michael Jackson special where Michael Jackson was talking to Brashear, I think it was, and they're going through the old boardwalk? Because that's where the city center sits. The city center is one of the properties that back in 2008 nearly went bankrupt. I don't know the details, and I'm not a big smart Wall Street guy, but they went into business with the Dubai Ports folks. Dubai Ports being owned by, of course, the Saudi royal family. And by no fault of, I don't know, anybody. Oh, Sean, thank you for $10. Sean, I appreciate Sean is on my Patreon throwing me $10. Thank you so much, Sean. Everybody say thank you to Sean. And I don't know the details on how it happened, but right in the middle of $8.5 billion of construction, when the share prices of MGM dropped to the lowest they've ever been, they nearly went out of business. Now, there were so many construction workers on that site. The city center has a lot of interesting stuff. So Life Off the Strip is talking about the president. We'll show that comment. So the city center has some interesting facts about it. So what about the city center? Well, the city center has its own fire station at the base of it. The county said you can actually build that, but you can't build it unless you pay for your own fire hall. So they pay full time for a whole entire staff of firefighters to be at the city center, which makes it one of the loudest parts of the entire strip. But there's almost 10,000 rooms at the city center if you combine all the rooms. It's also a property that the MGM Resorts people said they would never give up. And then what did they do? They started carving it up and selling it bit by bit by bit. I mean, obviously the Vidara is there. The Vidara is just residential real estate. I talked to one of the realtors at the Vidara. He said that there's actually 4 penthouse suites at the Waldorf Astoria, which used to be called the Mandarin Oriental. And he said of those 4 penthouses, there is no such thing as him getting a lead from somebody who randomly calls him. He says there are 2 people that control all the brokership deals in there. The penthouses at the Waldorf Astoria sell for $8 to $11 million. There was a time when I wasn't in advertising and marketing with the magazine business and talking to these kinds of folks where I said $1 million listings would never work in Vegas, but I'm starting to think we're getting there. However, if the market falls to such an extent, we may not be there. But the city center has its own fire hall, obviously. It has its own natural gas power plant in the back. It also has the Crystal Shopping, which they sold off to Simon Malls. That's pretty interesting as well because they said they would never sell that. The Crystal Shopping is home to high-end stuff like Tiffany's, Jacques Cartier. Cartier. It's called Cartier, not Cartier. But, you know, what do you know about old French explorers that helped discover Canada? Nothing, unless you're Canadian, or unless you're a guy who likes history. I'll just tell you on Patreon or Facebook. YouTube isn't letting me say what I need to tell you. That's okay. Yeah, send me a Patreon message. YouTube has censorship. I've been telling you guys about YouTube censorship. Hold on a sec. I got to sneeze. Do that off camera. I hold it in so you don't have to hear it. All right. What are the chances of the Raider Stadium being done on time? Howard, it depends. Ricky says NFL kickoff's been pushed back. I did not hear about that. From what I heard, the NFL was planning on opening up full blast with full attendance, full audiences. But maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's fine. Sasha, if you don't want to use that, you can always use the PayPal. It's in the description of this video. 604 Jimmy, who I assume is in Vancouver, says I have CV sneezes. No, I have seasonal allergies. Additionally, I'm posting on the Patreon and some in the group on Facebook. I'm cleaning out the backyard. I'm putting up all sorts of different, we're going to put up all sorts of different plants, but it's all bamboo. And I hate bamboo with a passion. This is a clumping type of bamboo, and it's so bad. And it's the one thing in the yard that I'm really, really allergic to. I just touch this stuff, and I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. I get like big red scratches and welts from it. So, anyways, that's what it is. Um, let's see what we got here. Hudson's Bay Company. Mom worked there in the 40s. Yeah, HBC is a huge company, guys. It's they actually own a bunch of high end American stuff. I think they might own Saks Fifth Avenue. They own a lot of things. Hi, Stephen from Ireland. Mr. Dreaded is here. Hi from Ireland. How you doing, Ireland? Top of the morning to you. Hi, floating. It's my bad Irish accent. I just offended Mr. Dreaded. They're gonna dislike the video big time now. All right, guys. So, just call. What we talk about right now? Tell me a topic and I'll talk about it. Ask me to talk about something, I'll keep going. I drank 15 energy drinks to prepare for this, and I won't sleep until tomorrow at 9 in the morning. It's not true. MSG update. Madison Square Garden Sphere. That's what Christy is talking about, and it's on hold. Dale Lamb, we talked about the Golden Nugget a while back. I don't want to bore people, but we totally did. Oh, okay, we'll talk about Golden Nugget again because I can say something new about the Golden Nugget. So the MSG Sphere, totally on hold. Sorry, whoops. They claim that it's just CV related delays and stuff like that. I don't know about that. They say it's also because they can't get the materials. That makes sense. I talked about that in a video 2 days ago. But we can also talk about the Golden Nugget. So what did Steve Wynn do to draw people back to the Golden Nugget? He got Kenny Rogers to perform at the Golden Nugget before Kenny Rogers was big. And then he got a hit on the radio. So he was already performing at the Nugget. And now he's performing at the Nugget as the Kenny Rogers. And then he calls in Dolly Parton. But he didn't sell tickets to the show. He sold exclusive experiences to go see Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton perform at the Golden Nugget, which was where Steve Wynn got some of his experience building in Las Vegas. He always wanted to build these experiences. And to this date, I think that's where MGM gets their welcome to the show type of mantra. Welcome to the show sounds like I'm playing a PlayStation video game because there's a game called MLB The Show. It's, come on, you guys got to do better on your branding. Why don't you ask somebody... Anyways, so there's some Golden Nugget stuff for you guys right there. Wall Street Warlord. Steven, do you often run into celebrities in Vegas when you're at CVS, 7-Eleven, or restaurants, etc., etc.? I said etc. It's etc. So Wall Street Warlord, to answer your question, I met, on the Strip, I met Jerry Springer once. I met Dirk Arthur once, which nobody might not remember him. If you guys remember Dirk Arthur, he had a show here for a long time. I don't know what happened to him. Thumbs up if you know Dirk Arthur, or say his name if you know him. I also met, who did I meet? I met Dennis Rodman. That was the weirdest experience in my life, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. I have seen Jerry Springer, obviously. Steve Wynn we ran into at the hotel. There was also Tobey Maguire. Evidently, I did also run into Tim Tebow at the CES, but everybody told me on camera that it was Tim Tebow, and I didn't know it was Tim Tebow, and I didn't see him, and I tried to track him down, and I don't know. Maybe it was just a big, huge 6'5" tall guy with good athletic build. I have no idea. I did meet Dennis Rodman, though. And Dennis Rodman's, that was bizarre. So I'm walking down East Harmon Road towards the Wyndham Timeshare Resort. And I'm in the back behind the Alara, and it's like 100 million degrees. And at the time, I'm selling Grand Canyon tours. So I have to go to the Wyndham Resort, which is in a bad part of town, but it's the afternoon, so who cares about that, right? And I'm in line, and there's these two girls, these two kind of attractive girls behind me, and up pulls this tricked out, ridiculous level, like giant, huge. What was the one that Tony Soprano drove? Oh, I just also, so they're trying to auction off Sopranos. Oh, thank you, John Kim. Everybody say thanks to John Kim. They were trying to auction off Tony Soprano's big, huge SUV. Drove up in one of these things. And he rolls down the window, and here's this dude with a million piercings. And I know it's Dennis Rodman, because you got to know what the worm looks like. I actually read Dennis Rodman's autobiography. It's a bizarre book, and it's so interesting, and you should read that book. It won't do much for your life, but it'll entertain you. And he's like, hey, man, you all right? I'm like, wait, there's two girls behind me. Are you talking to them? No, he's like, yo, you, man, you, with the backpack. I'm like, he's talking to me. Why is Dennis Rodman talking to me? You think he'd be hitting up the girls? And he's like, you need a ride? I'm like, no, Dennis Rodman. My mama told me never get into a car with Dennis Rodman. but That was the weirdest. And I could have taken the ride. It was hot. I was wearing a backpack. It was heavy. I had to go down to book a Grand Canyon tour at the lobby of the Wyndham. I could have been like, yeah, Dennis Rodman, let's go hang out wherever Dennis Rodman goes. And I probably should have, but I may not have been seen for several days. And it was a weird experience, I'm telling you. Maybe he thought I had a DRU blank S in the bag. I don't know about that, but that was a weird experience. I haven't met a lot of celebrities. I mean, I've heard of a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was back when he was hanging out with Kim from North Korea. I've heard of a lot of stuff like, you hear like Pete Rose, a buddy of mine ran into Pete Rose twice in traffic, once almost quite literally, the second time. Pete Rose flipped my friend off twice. It turns out these celebrities that are B-list or C-list celebrities, they go into the autograph signings at these stores at Caesar's Palace, at the Planet Hollywood, and they set up shop and it says, meet Joe Montana. So one day I go in and I'm like, my wife loves Joe Montana. She wanted me her some Joe Montana. Turns out to meet Joe Montana, you have to minimum buy a $400 picture of Joe Montana, and then he'll autograph it. And if you want to say any words to Joe Montana for about 5 minutes, you have to pay like $1,500. So that's how these guys make a lot of their money. And I feel bad when I see the old prize fighters, like there's like Larry Holmes, I can't remember his name. It's a bunch of old prize fighters, and man, these guys are punchy and they're old, and I feel bad, and that's how they make their income. But I'm happy they're making their income that way, I guess. Carnival Court is a fun place to go. Apparently, there's some good flair bartenders at Carnival Court. That's pretty cool. Pete Rose. I would be interested to know if you will put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. And if you're a baseball fan and you're from outside the United States, I'm not going to bore you with this. But the man was good at what he did, and he only ever bet on his own team. So what can you say? But he was a cheater, and cheaters never win. Remember, kids, cheaters never win, and winners always cheat. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to take a drink. Welcome to Not Dehydrated in Las Vegas. I'm a full-time not dehydrated person in Las Vegas. So, Star Trek Experience would have been cool. Red Pill Gary. Now, if you go to the Star Trek Experience, it's the entrance to a gift shop and a timeshare entrance, which is just bizarre. I don't know, man. I mean, we could talk about stories. Oh, that's not true. I met Slash from Guns N' Roses one day, and I also met Weird Al Yankovic, and I was a lot more excited to meet Weird Al than I was excited to meet Slash. And guess which one? Why don't you guess in the comments which person was nicer to me? Do you think it was Slash, the hardcore rock and roller, or do you think it was Weird Al Yankovic, the really smart, witty parody artist? Which one do you think was nicer? And I'll wait for the comments because I have a bit of a delay. Fremont Casino Stories. I've not spent a lot of time in the Fremont Casino. I know it's named after John C. Fremont. Yeah, Slash was nicer to me. Spoiler alert. No, Slash wasn't drunk. And I'll tell you about both of those right now. I met Slash from Guns N' Roses. I used to stand on the Harmon. The Harmon Avenue goes all the way down to Paradise Road, and then it stops. Okay, stops right there. I can tell you an Elvis story in just a minute, okay? I will tell you an Elvis story about that in just a second. Now, they used to do an exclusive Guns N' Roses show at the Hard Rock. And we're standing out there doing timeshare. And in general, in timeshare, if it moves, you should talk to it. That's sales in general. If you're good at your job, you should be making 100 connections a day on the phone or 100 approaches in real life on the phone. So my buddy goes up to this guy and he pitches him. The guy's wearing sunglasses and he has hair, and he's got the pierced nose ring, and he's with a beautiful blonde. She looks like a model. They're dressed real nice. And my buddy goes, hey, you guys want to check out the carriage house? I'll bribe you. I'll give you, we got all the shows in town. And Slash, no lie, wasn't wearing a hat. Takes off, goes like this. Takes off, pulls his wig back. He has no hair. He's bald. And he goes like this. And he puts his glasses up. He goes, are you going to give me tickets to my own show? And he was really, really cool with us. And I was surprised that Slash was bald. I don't think this was the legitimate Guns N' Roses. I think this was the Guns N' Roses when Axl refused to play. I've heard that they've patched things up. And I did meet Weird Al Yankovic that same summer. He was performing at the Planet Hollywood Theater for Performing Arts. You may know that as the Zappos Theater right now. And the Zappos Theater is the one that I showed a million years ago on the channel. It was the one where I talked about all the history, and it was the only part of Planet Hollywood that exists. Well, ran into Weird Al. Oh my God, my buddy goes, that's Weird Al. I'm one of those folks that's not great at spotting celebrities. Like, I'm not a celebrity hound. He's like, that's Weird Al, man. Aren't you a big fan? I'm like, oh, I am. So I go up here and Weird Al, Al Yankovic. He ignores me. I run after him, pays attention to me. Oh, hey, I'm Weird Al. How's it going? He's got, this is modern day Weird Al. There's no mustache, there's a curly hair. He's wearing the Hawaiian shirt, so it's Weird Al Yankovic. And I like beg him for a picture. He's like, oh, geez, I'm really busy. I'm like, man, I used to watch you back in the day. You did the Al TV in the States, but you did Al music. There was MTV in the United States and Much Music in Canada. I don't know if Much Music is around. And he took a picture with me, and I have it on my phone, and I'll post that up on the Facebook group, and I'll post it when I can remember to on the Patreon as well, if I can find it. I'm sure I can. But it was like he wasn't very nice to his fans. And then I had a tour that I booked for timeshare. The guy was like totally blind, but he was super sharp as a tack. And it turns out he told me the day that I met him that he was going to the Weird Al show that day. He had bought the VIP and he wanted to show Al one of his songs. And then the buy the VIP cost $500. And then the next day after I met Weird Al, he tells me, that guy is not that nice. I'm very, very disappointed. My celebrity rose-colored goggles are off. I'm like, what happened? He goes, oh, I paid for the VIP. Wouldn't even look at my song lyrics. I'm like, come on, Weird Al. You're so nice on camera. Be nice. Be nice. Maybe Weird Al was having a bad week. Maybe, he didn't win a Grammy that year. And Weird Al's won a lot of Grammy awards, by the way. It's pretty funny. He has an unboxing Grammy video on YouTube that you should totally watch because he is totally a funny guy. But it is just what it is. Yep, Steven, Dirk Arthur was a superstar magician and big cat tiger performer on the Strip. Had really cool shows. He did. I don't know what happened to the guy, but I read in the Review Journal the other day that the tiger guy, what the hell is that name of that stupid Netflix show? He had something to do with Dirk Arthur and Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars. I did see the old man and Chumley at Pawn Stars one day. They were filming in the very back with some fancy car. And I saw that Tiger King. Yeah, so the Tiger King guy has a history in Las Vegas that I won't get into because he seems like the kind of guy that will sue you. But the stats show that Rick Harrison went to Dirk Arthur, and Dirk Arthur said, don't do the thing with the Tiger King. That rhymes. Don't do the thing with the Tiger King. That guy doesn't treat his cats very well. So Rick Harrison was opening Pawn Plaza. And they wanted to put something in there with cats, bringing the cats to the people. And Dirk said no because he doesn't carry the right permits. And putting these cats in here is incredibly complicated and very, very hard to do. And you have to be 24/7. These animals are like children. They're very smart. So don't do it, Rick Harrison. Rick Harrison put a kibosh on the whole deal. Well, the Tiger King guy, according to court records, so this is not my opinion, this is just what the county says, he was fined $10,000, and he had not done some good stuff with the animals. Apparently, this is all public record. You can go search. And according to the newspaper, he's still a wanted man, the Tiger King guy. And I don't know what happened to Dirk Arthur, but he's performed everywhere. I know that because I looked it up after I read that article. All right, so yes, we were going to talk about something. Oh, thank you, Jeffrey, for joining the Patreon. That is cool. Or you joined the channel. That is great. Any news on the HRC transformation to Virgin? I don't know if Hillary Rodham Clinton is transforming to... I'm just kidding. I know, don't get political. That's a good way to kill your channel. I didn't give you my opinion. I just said HRC because that's how they... So anyways, as far as I know, it's still going on. Construction in Vegas is still an essential. I've not heard anything. I've not seen any news, and I've not seen anything there. Wall Street Warlord says, isn't Dirk Arthur a tiger conservationist? I remember seeing one of his old posters, and he had a conservation message on there. I reached out to both the Tiger King guy and to the reporter, and also to the dude and to Dirk, and I can't get anybody. I can't get anybody to say anything. Anyways, that's why they are. They're private people. Celebrities are private people. Okay, I sent you a message on Patreon, and it's quite interesting. So that sounds good. Oh, thank you, Paul. What's the great Canadian novel? You ask me this every time I'm just going to Google it. What is the Great Canadian Novel? And it turns out there is no Great Canadian Novel. There's one called The Great Canadian Novel, but there's Great Canadian Literature. And I said last time, oh, thank you, John. That's super nice of you. I said last time, you can go like Anne of Green Gables. I got Paul and John donating. I have the Beatles in the house. If George donates and if Ringo shows up, I'm just retiring from live streaming. That'll be it. You know, I here's the thing. I'm not unproud to be Canadian. I'm proud. But Canadian culture is very much like American culture. I mean, it's very hard to differentiate between the two. Um, I know most famous Canadian novelist. I should do a lot of research on this stuff, and I apologize that I don't. Of course, Margaret Atwood. If you want to talk about writers, Leonard Cohen is really popular for his songs. And if you don't know Leonard Cohen, you should listen to some Leonard Cohen. That song Hallelujah, that's from the Christmas thing where they remixed it. That's actually a Leonard Cohen song. Leonard Cohen's amazing. You know, when Kurt Cobain is quoting you in his songs. JJ McCullough is excellent. Thank you, Paul. You are correct. I really like JJ. I felt bad that I always bob my head around, but he does it too. All right. Yes, that is. But his version is much more raw. It's just crazy. What is Konami's local reputation as a company and employer? I've never heard anybody say anything wrong about Konami. Konami has, of course, made video games. Now they just make slot machines. It's unfortunately. Tracy made Spanish tacos and Spanish rice for dinner. That's very nice. I'm trying to think off the top of my head about some more Vegas stories to tell you. More Vegas stories. I have seen a lot of different stuff. There is one weird piece of information about Vegas, and it happens to be between the Paris and the Planet Hollywood. We could talk about the Aladdin and talk about the history of the Aladdin as well. But the Paris and the Planet Hollywood share one weird link to Canada. And don't worry, I'm not going to bore you on this. If you come here, you'll see two different hypnotists. One hypnotist is Anthony Cools. He's at the Paris. He's very, very promoted. He's one of the big shows at the Paris. The other one happens to be Marc Savard. Now, if you're Canadian or you're a hockey fan, you'll know Marc Savard is a player for the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. Not the same guy. No, Marc Savard is from Peace River, Alberta, Canada, and Anthony Cools is from a place called Calgary, where I also happen to be from. It turns out they're not too far away from each other. It also turns out that they never met each other before, but they happen to have two shows in the exact same genre, literally on properties that border themselves by the same company. And that's really weird. The Liberace Museum is closed. I know Liberace's personal chef is a guy named Oli, and he's a member of the Greater Las Vegas Orchid Society that my wife and I are members of. I don't know much about Wayne Newton. I really like Wayne Newton. I think he puts a great face on Las Vegas. I know the Shenandoah was a place where there was a lot of stuff. He just won a lawsuit about, I think, shooting someone who broke into his house. I don't know what to tell you. Oh my gosh. It's crazy out here, guys. Ken Dryden is the greatest of all time. There's a really good documentary on hockey called The Game. He wrote a book. Ken Dryden's very smart. He's a lawyer, just so you know. He was also a goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. There's a Montreal colonist named Nick Ofdemar who seems interesting. Is he related to Melissa Ofdemar? Because she used to be the guitarist or bass player. Can't remember which one for the Smashing Pumpkins. And she is also from Canada. Have you ever gone to the Canadian Calgary Stampede? Wall Street Warlord asks. So, the first job I ever had was working at the Calgary Stampede. Travis is here. Hi, Travis. Thanks for joining the Patreon the other day. That was cool of you. And so I was working, and at the time I was friends with, I was in 10th grade, and I was friends with one of the teachers at my high school. And the high school I went to, they took a public-private partnership, so they were sponsored by BP, Amico, in Canada. So they had all the best computers. So I was sitting in the computer lab. I had applied at the Calgary Stampede. I wasn't hired right away. And then my mother called me because this is before cell phones. And she said, you have to call this number. They want to see you for an interview. So my first job ever was talking to foreigners from all over the place, tearing tickets and stamping hands at the Calgary Stampede. Yahoo! It's the greatest outdoor show on earth. And it was actually started by an American named Guy Wiedeck. And I love the Stampede. I wanted to go every year. We could only ever afford to go on the free day. So you'd have to get up at like 5 in the morning. And then Kellogg's sponsored a kids' rodeo. And then you got into the Stampede for free and you got to hang out for free. And it was very fun. But I liked it because Nintendo would always have a big truck and they would show all the newest video games. I played virtual reality in like 1997 the first time. And it was where the virtual reality machines would give you a severe headache. It was not that fun. But I just lost half my live stream answering that question. But you also tipped me out like $30 or 40 or 50, I don't even know how much, a lot in stickers. So I'll answer that question for you, my friend. And if you're new to the channel, that's pretty cool. Thank you so much. Hopefully you stick around and you comment on the videos. Okay, so speaking of the Planet Hollywood, used to be the Aladdin, and I did a video walkthrough of it, and I went through the Miracle Mile shops, which also used to be called the Desert Passage. Now, unlike what people think, the Desert Passage is not changed because it was a Desert Passage and 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. It was actually just changed because they wanted to make a change. It was not a very good property to go into. The original Aladdin was a pain in the butt to get into. Actually, I lied to you. The original Aladdin wasn't originally called the Aladdin. Was originally not the one you know as the Aladdin. Existed before that, and it was actually torn down in the 90s. And they rebuilt the new Aladdin. They put pedicabs to bring people here or there. You're supposed to tip the pedicabs out. Now the pedicabs are being used as big, giant mobile garbage bins where they throw the garbage in there and they drive through the property in the resort. But if you go through there and you look up, you'll see parts of the Desert Passage still exist. They replaced the roof with really cool mirrors. They replaced the floors with marble flooring. They replaced most of it, but it still exists to that extent. There used to be fire breathers out front, but the problem was it was hard to get in the casino, hard to get out of the casino. People didn't go in there and gamble. The original Aladdin that opened in the 60s, where they had Miss America pageants and the Theater for Performing Arts was, that on the other hand had a terrible, terrible, terrible reputation. From the minute they opened, they purchased high rollers lists from the dunes and they purchased them from the Desert Inn and the Sands, and they got all these high rollers to come into the casino only to find out at the last minute they were not getting an alcohol license. So they were able to open the hotel but not be able to serve alcohol. Who wants to gamble while they're not getting drunk? And that's bad for the casinos too, because people's inhibitions go down. They want you to drink and gamble. Now, somebody said that Cirque is not going away in Las Vegas. I'm going to give you my theory on Cirque in Las Vegas and what I think is going to happen. I want you to think about all the Cirque shows in Las Vegas. And then I want you to think about this. Run failed. Zarkana failed. Elvis failed. What else failed in Las Vegas? They had a bunch of failures in Las Vegas, right? So you build a theater, you build a venue. When they built the theater for Zarkana over at the Aria, it's now been turned into a convention space. It costs a lot of money to put a Cirque production into place. The other thing about the Cirque people right now is they took out a $1.5 billion private equity loan from a company. I can't remember the company's name, in 2016 to restructure. And then they have to pay people. So Cirque right now, 85% of all of their money goes into paying employees, and they have all of their cash flow coming in from ticket sales. When you can't sell tickets, you have no cash flow. So Cirque laid off 95% of their workforce. Meanwhile, we're in here in Vegas demonizing the casino properties. You laid off 95% of everybody that works for you. They have $165 million in liabilities they have to pay back in the next year or so, and that combines refunds on ticket sales, paying employees, paying for venues and things like that. And they only have $20 million cash and $105 million credit line. So what does that mean for Cirque? It means they're going to probably declare bankruptcy. It also means that the casinos are not looking to lend $100 million to a property so they can build a new theater for a Cirque show. There was word and news that dump, I'm going to say the Circus is a dump. I'm just going to say that. The dump, known as the Circus, was supposed to have a big theater in the back that was going to be renovated, blah, 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 and that they might bring the illusionist in from New York City. That fell apart. As far as what I've heard, Phil Ruffin ain't getting no money from nobody anytime soon. So that's what that is. But it's interesting to talk about all this stuff with all these things that are going to change in Las Vegas. All the changes are coming. They're coming fast. They're coming furious. And before you know it, the changes are here. And we go and we look back and we say, wow, this cat used to be so small that he could fit into my hand. And now he's so big that he weighs 25 pounds. Yeah, I think the time for a bit of a tamer version of Las Vegas that's not so hyper focused on super high end entertainment is in the cards. I really think so. Wayne has been performing at Caesars. He's also been performing at Bally's. He had his own show there. He also opened up the T-Mobile Arena with the Killers. That was a pretty cool thing, and I wish I could have seen that. Phil Ruffin did well selling the Frontier back in 2007. He certainly did. He actually sold it to a company that was going to be looking to build a replica of the Plaza Hotel in New York City. That company was, I think, Israeli backed. They couldn't get the money for it, so they don't have the option for that. Danke Shane. Yes, it means, what does it mean? Thank you. Danke Shane, darling, Danke Shane. So, I think the time, I've not heard the reggae song Black Cat. I think the time for the big, giant, massive marquee shows in Vegas is coming to an end. I think there'll always be a place for them, but I'll be damned if people can afford $400 after taxes, resort fees. Ow! If not $500 to go see a Cirque du Soleil show. I mean, I don't know. What are the odds of the resorts eliminating resort fees when they open? There is 0% chance of that. It's a profit stream. That's like asking what the odds of Apple stop charging for Apple TV and make it all free is, because that's a big profit stream. Or Apple, any company that's trained a consumer base to do something, they're going to keep it. They might change the resort fees. They might restructure the resort fees, but they will not go ahead and get rid of the resort fees. I love you, baby. You're so hungry right now. Mod tag Black Cat video for Homeboy. I don't know what that means, Jeffrey, but thank you so much. Craig asked if I play video games. Yeah, I do. Right now I'm playing Doom Eternal on my PC, and that's what I'm playing. It's really hard, and I'm not very good at video games anymore, and I was never great at those kind of games. It is a Black Cat. His name is Blackjack. We have our Blackjack and Domino. Domino's sleeping, and I have a Siamese behind me, which I brought on the camera before. There's still plenty of people clamoring to spend their money in Vegas. I have a feeling nothing will change because of this. Oh, Thomas gives me $5 and says, did you see the Patriots plane landing at Logan Airport in Boston this morning with 1 million face masks from China? That's pretty cool. I'm glad that the Patriots did that. Robert Kraft seems like a guy who wants to help out a whole bunch. So credit to Robert Kraft for that. And it's a shame Tom Brady never came to Las Vegas, because that would have been quite the deal. Craig asked if I play Xbox. I have a PS4 Pro that I haven't plugged in a very long time. Okay. Oh my God. Here, Jeffrey wants to post a link, and only mods can post links. So let's make Jeffrey a mod for the time being. With great power comes great responsibility, and Uncle Ben said that, and then he said, eat my rice. So you can post that, Jeffrey, if you want to. A's in it said it won't take my credit card. Oh, that's fine. I appreciate it. If you can't do it, I usually do PayPal or Cash App. If you want to contribute to the channel, contribute to the cause. I'm not taking BitTorrent because I think that's a scam that will fall down when the U.S. government inevitably makes their own cryptocurrency. Matt Goss is incredible at the Mirage. We're just going to read comments right now, guys, because I'm kind of out of Vegas stories. But if you guys want to hear about a particular property, just say so. I'll try. Do you feed your cats Miracle Grow, Johnny? When I got that cat, he was so small. He was literally smaller than this water bottle, and he was in a parking lot. I walked past him in 2007 and 2008 when the recession was happening. A lot of people, they just abandoned everything. They walked away from everything. And it was sad. And they walked away from their condo, and they walked away from that cat. So he's in the parking lot on my birthday. And I see this little tiny thing. It looks like so vulnerable. And I pick it up, and it's got gum in its fur and all that stuff. And oh, thank you, Pinball Lover, my friend in Brazil. That's cool. I appreciate the sticker. And I brought him in, and he grew up to be Blackjack. He was massive. And I also rescued cats in the Philippines. Because there, They can't spay or neuter. They just don't have it, and the capacity. They don't have the money. It's just not. We're on a little island called Samal Island, Samal. It's a really nice place, and I rescued like 4 cats, and we didn't have any milk, so we bought them condensed milk. It was just what we had to do. Okay, how do the casinos will get their money back from this vacation period? Less pay to employees or higher fees for visitors? I think it's a combination of things. I think that they're going to continue profiting, but I think they're going to try to do it with less people. A lot of these casinos will go digital in a lot of ways. Like MGM did the MGM 2000 thing where they were trying to lay off employees to go all digital. I think it's unfortunate. Dell Lamb wants to know about the Binion's Hotel. I can tell Dell that Benny Binion once shaved all the hair on his body to pass a drug test. They wanted to give him a drug test, I think, for gaming regulations or something like that. And in a drug test, they can take any hair off your body. And he shaved every hair on his body in order to not have to take the hair portion of the drug test. The Binions used to be called the Binions Horseshoe, of course. They had a hotel tower that was shuttered in 2008 that just opened up just recently. But the Binions Hotel is not called the Horseshoe anymore because the Caesars Corporation, Caesars Entertainment, I think it was, bought the name and then named a hotel in the Midwest or maybe Mississippi or Missouri the Horseshoe. So now it's just called Binion's Gambling Hall. And I still like it. You can still go out there and get a picture with $1 million. If a timeshare guy offers you Binion's Gambling, do not take the Binion's Gambling. It's fake money. You'll never win. They'll give you a certificate to get a picture with $1 million, and then you'll have to pay $5 for the picture. And you will hate yourself, and your wife will be mad at you for taking that $300 in Binion's Gambling instead of that $100 Visa card because you got greedy. Just be honest. We all get greedy. I get greedy too. Would you like to take the cash or what's in the box? Mystery box could be anything. Cash is cash. Anyways, that's what that is. How do I know all this stuff? I know things. I drink water, and I know things, to coin a phrase from a popular HBO TV show. I think it was called Ballers or Game of Thrones, either one. You can also see Benny Binion's car. I don't know if it's a Cadillac or what it is. He has big giant Texas Longhorns on the front of it. Another thing about Benny Binion was that he was tantamount in bringing the World Series of Poker to Las Vegas. Oh my gosh. I'm not used to sitting on a chair this long. He went down to Oklahoma and convinced the NFL, not World Series of Poker, he was tantamount, yeah, the World Series of Poker started at Binion's. We'll get to that in a sec. He was tantamount in bringing the NFR to Las Vegas. So he went to Oklahoma and he convinced NFR to come to Las Vegas. Before that time, it was traveling. It would go to Dallas for a few years, Oklahoma City for a few years. They were convinced that it would never work. It's the Indiana Horseshoe. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it. They were convinced it wouldn't work, so he promised to back it with his own money so they wouldn't lose any money and everybody would be paid and the purse would get met. And we all know how that worked out. It's history. MGM sold several of their properties to Blackstone at a perfect time as if they knew something, Kev says. No, Kev, they were just bleeding money and they didn't want anybody to see it. And it was all part of their master plan to give themselves 2 point something billion dollars last year after all their taxes, liabilities, and everything was paid. Yeah, that's what that is. But I don't think there's any conspiracy theory to that one. They couldn't have known anything when they started selling properties way back last summer. Nobody knew anything last summer. Whew, man. Rounders is a good movie if you like poker. That obviously takes place in New York City and those areas up there. New Jersey. Is any casinos will be closed after this? Anna asks. I don't think any casinos are closed. I think from what I'm hearing from a reputable source who's never steered me wrong, that the Travel Lodge, the Motel 6, they're going to be real hard to stay open after the casinos come back and show how clean they are because those guys are not doing anything to really clean their rooms from what I've heard. Oh my gosh, now everybody's going to say CV, but I can't prove that, so I can't prove that. What happened to the car collection at the old IP? That's a great question. I don't know whatever happened to those cars. Maybe some of them went down to Laughlin, where you can go to Don Laughlin's resort and they have classic cars in there, but those are mostly Studebakers. Studebakers were like really big back in the day. Hey, check out the movie The Platform on Netflix. I will have to. How strong do you think Caesars is as a group, Jeffrey? They're not strong at all. They're very, very bad. They're they're not good at what they do. Like, they have a real estate portfolio that is just stellar. Some of the most famous properties on the planet. Caesars, entertainment, but they can't run their property worth a darn. There's no reason that they're bleeding money when everybody else is turning a profit. So Caesars has some growing up to do. They have some mismanagement, big time. And if Tony Rodeo on his world famous podcast, where all he talked about was high rollers, is any lesson, they need to change their image fast. And if anybody's watching from Caesars, you can reach out to me and I'll tell you a few things about what people think about you so you can change those things. I agree with you, Stephen, that the casinos will have to give more value to the resort fees. Binion's gold buried in the desert. I never heard of that. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. The comps were out of this world last year. I'm not surprised, Jeffrey. They comp you so you come back to the resort so you can gamble so they have that revenue stream. That's what it is. And if you're ever curious, just go into the casinos, ask them through the mail, ask them through email, whatever. Get your profit loss statement from the IRS if you're a big gambler. See how much money you pumped into that casino and how much you actually made, how much you actually lost. And I'm not suggesting anybody like you has lost money. You might be a smart gambler and you always treaded that fine line. But my goodness, it is easy to lose money and get a lot of comps and then have not much to show for it. And if you ever come into Vegas, don't use your comps on the room. That's the worst thing you can use a comp on. I know it sounds like it's lucrative and stuff, and maybe they are giving you a suite, but oftentimes the room prices can be dirt cheap. All you gotta do is ask your host if you can get a cheaper price on the room, and you can use your comps on something tangible. Steak dinners don't change prices. Show tickets don't change prices. Use your comps towards something that's not even at the casino. Somebody I know here gets comps. He's a Caesars Rewards member. He gets comps to Golden Knights games. That has nothing to do with the property, but he still gets tickets to the games, which will cost him $400. So you can do that too. Slots of fun is not so fun. We'll call it not so fun from here on in. Jason Bourne was shot in Vegas. It was the clunker of the franchise. It was, and it's one of those movies where I watch it where I get way annoyed because in 1 minute he's way at Fremont Street. The next minute he's at the airport connector tunnel. They did the same thing in The Hangover. The Hangover 3, that scene where Chow is on the balcony, well, there is no balcony there, and the Caesars font is all different, and they really just did it for Hollywood reasons. Falls View Casino, Niagara Falls, same owners, are opening the Virgin Hard Rock in Vegas. So the Virgin Resorts Group owns the Falls View Casino. That's interesting because I thought that was a Ontario Gambling Control Board property. Interesting. Caesars did own Vegas for decades. Everyone loses, but I played one day and left with my money. They gave $400 a day for like 6 months. It was a part-time job. When I went, yeah, so there you go. Jeffrey went on a nice run, and I love to hear that. To be honest, I gamble for fun, not for profit. I like to see fear on others' faces. Very nice. Speaking of comps, do you think that Vegas will start giving more comps when the casinos open back up? Oh, you probably, because they want to keep you in the casinos and they're comping you on stuff that they're going to let go to waste anyways. Like, for example, you want to go to Caesars, you want to see absinthe, but there's nobody here? Hey, look, free absinthe comps for everybody. It's a way of training you to do consumer actions. Okay, to explain this to you is very simple. When McDonald's came out with mobile ordering, everybody got a free Mac. You just had to order through the mobile app. Now you get 20% off a Big Mac because everybody orders with the mobile app. You're used to it. Use this used to own Prim Resorts. Can you give insights on the restaurants? Jimmy, what kind of restaurants? There's all sorts of dining. Let me know. Do you slots will pay when they open up? They might loosen the slots a little bit, but I don't know about that. Loose slots are something that you can always find. The looser the slots are the higher limit slots because it's a math game. So Circus noticed this when they were losing money like crazy. I mentioned this in a video, but I can go over it now. And Caesars, William Penn and William, I can't remember the other William's name right now. They took over the Circus. They fired all the corrupt staff, and then they went up to somebody they knew that was managing what was called the Sahara Lake Tahoe at the time. It's now, I believe, the Mont Bleu Lake Tahoe. And they asked him, why is it so much better? Why are you guys killing it up there? He said, well, here's what I did. I knew that Harrah's across the street, and what became Harvey's. I don't remember what. No, Harvey's across the street, and another property became Harrah's. I don't remember what it's called. They were doing really, really well. So what I did was I made a $5 bet that we had the loosest slots in all of Lake Tahoe. Now I knew we didn't, so I said, take out your tapes, because slot machines used to have tapes that would record all the payouts. They were like literal like printed tapes, right? And he said, one day we took out our tapes and I looked to see what their payouts were. And I knew I would lose the bet, so I gladly paid them both the money. But I knew that they were paying out like 98% of every dollar. We were paying out way less. So the more money we took in, the more people sat at the machine because they won more often. But I'll be damned if they didn't channel 99% of all that money right back into the casino. So Circus Circus loosened their slots up. And at the time, Circus Circus was a private company. It was known as a grind joint, meaning that it wasn't glamorous to work there. So if you worked at Circus Circus and you met somebody who was a manager, a pit boss, or something at the dunes, they'd make fun of you. Meanwhile, you're killing it. You're making 10 times the income they are because you're working at a place that's making the biggest profit. And that's how Circus Circus opened up loose slots. Now, downtown has the loosest slots in all of Las Vegas. But if you ever want to know the slot payout, just look at the machine. The machine will show you the slot payout. It's a legal law. If it doesn't show like on a actual all the time payout schedule on the top, it's part of the digital screens. They have to be able to show you that, and that's what you need to know about slots. Slot Freaks agrees. How's it going, Slot Freaks? Did you meet 1,000 subscribers yet? Are you crushing it on the YouTube monies? Because nobody is nowadays, because there's no more ads, my friend. All the ads have dried up. Anyways, Steve, can you tell me what the travel advisory does? Life off the strip. It scares people into not wanting to come here. I really think that's the main purpose of it. But the travel advisory says that if you come to Las Vegas, you should quarantine yourself when you leave, before you leave, for 14 days. That's all it really does. It just scares people. Jeffrey says no more ads. No, there are ads, but the revenue is down. In the ad business, there's a rate that they assign to us so I can see what my ads are worth per 1,000 views, and ours are all down by 30 to 40% across the board on YouTube because the global economy is slow and they're not advertising as much. Plus, the casinos are not advertising, and that was some of my best ad rates that came from the casinos advertising on top of my videos for their competition. The Red Pill Gary misses the Riviera. The newer resorts don't have the same feel as the old ones. Something cool about gambling or staying at a place with history goes back to the old mob days in Elvis. This is true. I said I would say something about Elvis, which I will, but I'll say something about the Riviera first. If you want to go and see what's up with the Riv, go watch Austin Powers, the first movie. The scene where he's walking through the casino is filmed in the Riviera. You can see by the big R's on the carpet and on the stairs. And that's where he goes, there you are. And they go, do I know you? He goes, not, you know, he goes, no, but I know you. So that's there. And then the second part of that movie with the hot tub scene was filmed at the Imperial Palace, which became the Link. Elvis story. Elvis came to Vegas and he was playing at the International Hotel. And they told Elvis he was washed up. He was only booked for like 7 shows, I think. And he ended up playing a lifetime. I know an entertainer named Johnny Thompson, who is an Elvis Presley impersonator. Pretty awesome. I love him to death. He's a buddy of mine. He's stuck in the Philippines right now trying to get back to the United States with his family, but he's trying to make the money because he's got a family and you got to prove everything to bring your foreign spouse and your child born in another country here. But he's been on E! The Entertainment Network, interviewing some red carpet celebrities. He's also in the Carrie Underwood video she did. I can't remember the name of it. But just look up Johnny Thompson, Elvis impersonator. He's pretty amazing. All right, guys, we got 17 minutes and 20 seconds left because the live stream is dwindling down. It's getting into the wee hours of morning on the East Coast, and it's getting so Ted Binion. I'm sure we mean Ten Vian. I don't know. Buried at $10 million of gold and silver coins. Okay. Worst case scenario, if CV has a second wind, I think by that point we're all going to be used to it. I know that sounds stupid, but everybody said that travel would never come back to Vegas after 9/11, and it did. We just changed our way of life. People might be wearing masks for a really long time. I don't know what to tell you. Steve, what are you doing for money these days? Oh man, that's a loaded question. So the company I go to work for, I'm doing the best I've ever done in my whole life, right? And it's selling, it's marketing. It's selling marketing, really. It's really just selling marketing. I'm selling magazine ads and advertising on websites through a really great magazine company here, a local based magazine. It's been doing it for 10 years. And I made such great money, and then this happened. Now you can't get an advertiser because the non-essential businesses are afraid of staying open. And magazine advertising, radio ads, TV ads, they are not cheap. So you call up the professionals, the lawyers, but they have no clients. And you call the doctors, but all of the cosmetic surgeons are not working because they gave all of their ventilators and all of their masks to the state. So to answer your question in a short way, I'm not making money right now. Right now, I'm applying for all of this. There's a political commentator that I won't name because we don't get political here. He said, "Take that money if you qualify for it," and I don't know if I do because I was dumb on my taxes last year, so I filed everything. I'm current now. But he said, if the government drives a Ford truck through your living room and they offer to pay for what they did, take the money. The government shutting everything down was like driving a Ford truck through your living room. Anyways, yeah, play Keno. Do you think the restaurants and big name chefs will make it out of this? Some of them will. Gordon Ramsay apparently fired a bunch of people, which was a bummer. I saw Gordon Ramsay's giant tricked out truck when he was filming Hell's Kitchen once. That was pretty cool. I didn't get to see Gordon himself. That would have been awesome. He's one of our favorite TV celebrities. Oh, we did see Emeril Lagasse at his restaurant once, too, to answer a question from Wall Street Warlord. I don't know if he's still watching. Playing some good Game King, come play. Frontier. The Frontier is interesting. I don't know a ton about it, but I know that when it was open, Steve Wynn was involved in that, and he was taken on a board, and he changed his story about how he actually came to be involved in the Frontier twice, which sucks. But either way, the Frontier has a history. The original owners were blocked out because it turns out that they were East Coast and had bad business associates, and they pulled some gaming licenses. It became the new Frontier. Phil Ruffin bought it, and he did something. I gotta read about the history of these places because I want to do videos on all of them. He bought it, and he did something to stop one of the biggest strikes the culinary ever had. And then he sold it for a mint. But the Frontier was an interesting property. I'd only been in there a few times. It was very, very old school Las Vegas. We're going to do a video here on a live stream where we watch old home videos of the Strip together someday here in the next little bit. Our dental office is closed in Vegas now. Cosmetic dentistry is completely shut for the most part. Dental offices are open, but it's very much CV type stuff. I hate how the news guy says one person aged 18 to 30 passed, two people 40 to 75 perished. They should just tell us their exact age. Are they just trying to scare everyone? Brittany asks. Yes, I really think probably they are trying to scare people. I think probably the news is in it with the government agencies to try to scare people to stay away from other people. If I told you what I really thought, and I thought of doing another channel, it's like maybe I should make another YouTube channel. Not like I don't have time for it. I thought I would call it like I'm Steven and I am not buying the logic in society because it seems like they're trying to reprogram the way that we think. And it's not hard to reprogram the way things and people think. Just look at the brutal dictatorships of the world like the Soviet Union and the CCP out in China. They reprogram people all this time. Anyways, man, it's been a real big, long 1 hour, 47-minute live stream. I'm going to take it to 2 hours because I am stubborn. Ukrainians are stubborn, and I'm part Ukrainian, part Irish, part Polish. So there goes my chance to make a video where I says, guess my ethnicity because I took a DNA test. I'm not doing that video anytime soon. I can't believe people do those kinds of videos. Who cares? White House stated 100,000 to 250,000 may pass. That is scary. Yes, Dell, it is scary. However, it is something. I don't know what to tell you. Comments on Caesars. I think Caesars needs a change of attitude and a change of putting people first and serving people. And that is one thing that somebody said in the comments. Wall Street Warlord said about Sheldon Adelson. For what you say about the guy, you're never going to hear an employee say bad things about working at that property. I've only heard people say good things. He treats people well and he treats his guests really well. And that goes a long way because when times like this come, those are the people that don't have to make statements begging the high rollers to come back because they're going to come back. What if nothing was done to stop it? Well, then we'd all be in huge trouble. I was kind of wondering if China, Russia, and the Saudis are in cahoots at the moment. I will tell you that the Russians and the Saudis were in cahoots because they tried to drive down the global oil price, knowing full well that many American companies that are very large exist on the price of oil being a certain price. And when they do that, it puts Americans' economy at risk. That's a big problem. It's a huge problem. Barev. Hello, Armin, my friend. Barev to you, my friend. What if nothing was done? Caesars has lost their mojo. Mojo. I would have guessed Stephen was Jewish. I've heard that before in my life, and I probably am part Jewish. Somewhere in that closet behind me is a book. It's full of mold, so I had to wrap it excessively in plastic. It's a book that has the only mention of my family ever in the Ukraine. They lived in a small town outside of Kiev, which was a town that was founded after World War II. After World War II, this is not Vegas related, so feel free to tune out or give me a like. I don't care. After World War II, several parts of Europe were designated zones where Jewish people couldn't be persecuted for being Jewish. My family comes from a town that was one of those towns. So, although I've never studied the Torah and we are not Jewish, I probably come from that bloodline and lineage. Alberta is suffering bad now because of the oil price, Red Pill says, and this is very true. Arlene says our dental office has to be closed here in Canada except for emergencies. This is probably true. Thank you for smashing the like button, everybody. It would be my blessing if I could get up to 250 likes for this live stream. This is my first live chat with you, Stephen. You suck and you should quit YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. He says, I enjoyed it. Thanks for all you do, by the way. I am booked at Mirage. Thank you so much. Hey, look at Slot Freaks. Ads may be dry, but fans are here. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was really hurting us in Arizona. So in Arizona, the mayors are mad. They're mad at the state. It's the opposite of here, where the mayors are mad at the state for different reasons. So down in Arizona, the mayors are like, you're not doing enough. You got to put the whole state on lockdown. And here the mayors are like, you're doing too much. Stop putting the whole state on lockdown. Tale of two places, man. They're talking about in Texas, in Laredo, Texas, making it $1,000 fine to go out of your house without a mask. That is so crazy. Mark, the tech guy, says gas is 59 cents. He means a liter, which is 6, 12, 18, $2.40 a gallon Canadian, which is 240 CAD and USD. That can't be right. That's $1.69. Cheapest gas in the world in Alberta, Canada. It would make sense to drive there, but you can't cross the border. Now we have border security for the first time ever because everybody's afraid of getting sick. Smoked. We're not saying those words. Okay, that's nice, Brittany. I'm happy for you. Good on you. Hey guys, look, it's been really fun. I got 9 minutes, 8 minutes, and 20 seconds left. And then I'm going to go watch a movie or something. 88 cents a gallon in New Orleans? Might have to drive to New Orleans. My thing disconnected. I got scared for a minute. Bally's. What do you want to know about Bally's? Bally's used to be called the MGM Grand. Bally's had the worst fire in the history of of Las Vegas. A lot of people lost their lives in that fire. Turned out there were no sprinklers past the 4th floor of Bally's. What a silly thing to do, huh? So I think it was the former governor Sandoval. I could be wrong on that. He was actually in the city council at the time, and he spearheaded an initiative to make all buildings retrofit and all future buildings have sprinklers on every single floor. That was the biggest tragic loss of life until the October 1st incident in all of Las Vegas. After that, the MGM Grand was obviously closed off and redone, and now it's obviously the MGM Grand that we know and love, and it got sold to Bally's. Bally's, the company that makes fitness equipment and gaming machines, and still called the Bally's to this date. The bazaar in front of the Bally's setup is used to just be a plaza with these really cool neon loops that went all the way up through fountains, and they used to run us off there when we try to work timeshare. You couldn't go on Bally's property. Now you can go on Bally's property if you're Westgate because they pay a tremendous amount of money to rent there. They built the shops. They didn't think about how it would work out, and nobody's really successful over there that I know of except for maybe the pizza place, Grimaldi's, and possibly Wahlburger because those are famous. But it's not a very good setup for retail as far as I am concerned. Thank you, Sean, for loving the live streams. Gas is not cheap here. It's $2.33 a gallon. Andrew Lloyd Webber is performing his songs from self-isolation. Will you be streaming a concert? I would have to have some sort of talent to stream a concert, and I'm not talented in that musical sense. Barbary Coast. Barbary Coast used to be owned by Boyd Gaming. Boyd Gaming wanted where the Westward Ho sat, So Boyd Gaming swapped the Barbary Coast with the company that owned the Westward Ho, so they could build the Westward Ho, tear it down, and build what was going to be Echelon Place. So then the Barbary Coast became Bill's Gambling Hall and Saloon. Bill's Gambling Hall and Saloon was then renovated by Caesars. The Bill's name was originally to do with one of the original owners, I think, of Caesars or something like that. I can't remember. It might have been William Bill, because Williams owned the Circus Enterprises. But then they made it into the Cromwell. So if you ever want to make something sound incredibly classy, all you gotta do is make it sound British. You know, it's the Cromwell. You know, it's a bad British accent. Or you could do it like a Cockney accent from London, or like Michael Caine. It's a Cromwell, Mr. Wine. Anyways, the Cromwell has Dre's on the top of it. Dre's was at the Barbary Coast, and then it was at Bill's Gambling Hall and Saloon. It used to be a club on the bottom level, and it was an after-hours place where you could go out and you'd show up at the club at 12 midnight. That's when it opened, and then it closed when the sun came up. Now Dre's is on the rooftop, and Snoop Dogg performs at the Dre's all the time. Much love from Indiana. I much appreciate the love. You're welcome, Arlene. We got 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Jeffrey wants to know about Fat Elvis. He's good at singing and he's real fat, and I don't know enough about him. I've never watched one of his full shows, but he plays over at the little bar inside of the Harrah's. Harrah's is a nice little property. Some people hate it, some people love it. Yep. Steven, you should interview Vegas celebrities on this channel. You would make a great talk show host. I talk too much. That's consideration. Anybody know any Vegas celebrities to hook me up with? Tell me. Email me. With my luck, I'll probably get Flavor Flav, and it'll just be him next to me going. I'll be like, so Flav, how's it going in Vegas? And he'll be like, yeah, look at my clocks. And it would just be a disaster. Sean said, oh, okay. Andrew says, crazy how Vegas has changed. I remember rolling into LA in 2008 and seeing no traffic situation. Yeah, it's very trafficy. Great show, good audience. Yeah, you guys have been a great audience. You've been very, very responsive. I want to thank you for all of the love on the super chats. That was very nice. If you guys don't want to give your credit card information to Google, you guys can always go on the PayPal or Cashapp, or I have a PO box that I can post up in the. I'll put the details of this video, so when this gets put up after it processes, I used to say process. It's process in America, process in Canada. You guys will see the P.O. box if you guys want to send me something physical, and I'll open it up on camera if you tell me I'm okay to do so. My wife got more gifts. She got such cool stuff. Ivy in New York City, she sent my wife a bunch of cool stuff. And then one of my Patreon people sent me a bunch of succulents for my wife, and I was just like so happy to see her happy. Keno bonus, not leaving Las Vegas. Give some good Keno numbers to play live now. I don't know Keno numbers. I don't know. 2,000, 4,324,000, and 7. I actually can't say the Keno numbers because if you lose, you might sue me for all your losses. I don't think you would. Just play your birthday. Yeah, boy. I love Public Enemy was fun, man. What is Nevada gonna do now that casinos are closed and the stores no longer have income tax from gaming state? I don't know, Kev. That's another topic for another video. Maybe they'll implement a state tax, but then they would lose all of those big fat corporations that are all stuck at 101 Convention Center Drive. If you go to the Nevada corporate headquarters, they give you an office at 101 Convention Center Drive. It's a big glass building made just for fake businesses, so they don't have to pay taxes. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Yeah, live streaming from McCarran. That's a no-no. You imagine how fast you'd end up in prison if you live streamed from a place like that. That would be fun, though. Maybe someday when it's not so dangerous to travel. This is how you get a little cat. You go like this. You go. Cat mustache. Anyways. All right, guys. So we got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. I'm going to tell you something that you guys need to remember. Just remember this, okay? Every person you meet is going through a lot of stuff right now. So if someone's rude to you, you don't know what they're going through. Try to smile at people. We've all been jerks to people before, and it's easy to be jerks to people, but people are just people, and we're complicated creatures, and we're going through a lot of stuff in our life right now. Maybe that person's wife is on their case because they can't find, the perfect meat at the grocery store. Maybe that person just had something terrible happen in their life. You never know, right? And if you are in a bad mood, stay off social media. I know there's some times where I don't go on it because I fight the deep state of depression in my whole life, and I try to say positive things. But sometimes I just don't go on social media. It's just not worth doing. If you're having that kind of day, just be loving to somebody. Do something nice. And as always, don't tell people about your good deeds. I think there's a Bible passage on that. You're not supposed to do that. But just do something nice for somebody. Give somebody $1 who needs it more than you. Maybe you'll get 10 back in return. That's funny how that works sometimes. All right, guys, thanks for watching with me. Thanks for being on my live stream tonight. Thank you to the rock stars who all pitched into the live stream. I didn't expect any of that. I just came on here to talk about stuff and tell some Vegas stories. I'm tired now. I'll wake up with a sore throat, and because I'm a hypochondriac, I'll freak out. But now's the time in the video that I'm going to have to say 3, 2, 1, and click.